Cage Minds live, Mika Frankl in the studio, going live for the last couple fights at BKFC 87. Been a crazy, busy day. Fight World 43 weigh-ins in the books. Full coverage up on the website. PFL, Madrid, Spain. Results are up on the website. We got photos on Instagram and Facebook. We were live for the weigh-ins. Wanted to go live before the Derek Perez Brian Duran fight got started. Within 10 seconds, they get into the clinch. Duran able to get the collar tie behind the head on Perez. Disgusting amount of right hands, and we have a first round knockout. A guy who has been saying all week he is the cash cow and said he was going to come out, get the first round knockout, and then demand his opportunity at the winner. New tattoo on the back of his head, a money bag, and the phrase cash cow. Derek Perez, a warrior. I thought he had to make this a long fight. Use his boxing acumen, be on the outside, got aggressive, charged right in that first exchange. Duran able to get in. The big power in front of his hometown, in front of his crowd at the Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida. A big victory for Brian Duran and a return to 145 pounds. This was a win that I had wanted to see from him because, well, Duran had been successful post his opportunity the first time at Kai Stewart. We hadn't seen him back at 145 pounds. The man had been doing his damage up beautifully at 155. I thought that was going to lead to a new trajectory that maybe we're going to see Duran, the lightweight, but looking for a second opportunity at featherweight. And you can see definitely a healthier, a Duran who, as he speculated on the BKFC, on the Bare Knuckles show, he now appears to be taking this serious. I see muscles, the traps, the pecs. He's got a six-pack. He looks like he's taking this seriously as an athlete. Officially 9 seconds in the first round. If you missed any of the results, here in a second, we will recap them all. Brian Duran, though, with the performance he was looking for, the first round knockout, taking care of Derek Perez in 9 seconds. He's about to make his call out for Kai Stewart and make his call out to face the winner of our main event for the BKFC featherweight title. Destructive performance. And probably the first time we really say that Duran felt like Duran again since he fought Kai Stewart. You guys are live and local this weekend. Fight World 43, Revel Entertainment Center tomorrow night. The weigh-in results are up at cageminds.com. 8-fight card, main event, professional bout, Joseph Daniel Velez versus Ozzy Chavez. Come by, say hi if you're around. Duran fearsomely calling out for the winner of the main event. Got the co-main event coming up next with the number 1 ranked heavyweight contender. Don't know why he hasn't fought for the world title yet. Leonardo Perdomo, who's going to be taking on the UFC vet, Rashad Coulter. If you guys missed any of the action, obviously the first 3 fights still available if you go back and watch the free prelims on YouTube or across the BKFC spectrum of social media. Chris Garcia, really spectacularly impressive performance. Chauncey Wilson has hung around the top 5 at flyweight for a long time. The right uppercut perfectly placed into the left eye for the second round knockout, 20 seconds in. A big rebound from Garcia, who had lost to Roberto Armas. That was his first loss. He now drops down to 25. Really did look like an athlete at 25 and had a spectacular performance. Juan Carlos Rivera jumped up to 35 on short notice. This was supposed to be a fight at flyweight against Mike Hansen. Hansen been ranked in the top 5 at flyweight. Hansen has to pull out. Rivera not happy about this. Juan Carlos instead jumps up to bantamweight, and Samuel Samples, the difference looked like there were 2 weight classes that separated these two men. Ferocious heart of a tiger in Juan Carlos getting on the inside. He was knocked down the first time, but got up off the canvas, a right hook, ferociousness on the inside, and ends up getting the first round stoppage with 1 second left on the board. Couple split decisions on the night. Donald Sanchez, he had already said coming into this fight that the former middleweight title challenger, this was going to be the song. He was going to be retiring after this fight, and it intrigued him to go on top with a bit of revenge. Jeremy Smith had handed him a loss in his debut to the sport. Sanchez with a much more evolved game, a much better athlete this time around, and a much more well thought out game plan. Look to stick and move, keep it on the outside. First 2 rounds went really well. The third round, you started to see that Smith was able to track him down a bit, make this more of a brawl. I still thought from what I was seeing on the landed strikes that Sanchez had did enough to put away the first 3 rounds. The next 2, Smith is able to make it an even more brutal brawl, getting on the inside, and that leads to a split decision, and Jeremy Smith goes 2-0 against Donald Sanchez, who did confirm at this point he will be retiring. Mentioned Roberto Armas, who had got a victory over Chris Garcia the last time Garcia was at bantamweight. Armas ends up beating AJ Rodriguez into a 3rd round corner stoppage, aggressive, just fearsome, diving on the inside, pushing his opponent to the ropes, working in that clinch. Roberto Armas, who was recently shown on WWE in his day job attire, in his military attire, has said that after this, he is going overseas to fulfill his work duty, and it'll probably be a year, if not longer, before we see him in bare knuckle. Someone I've had the opportunity to talk to previously, and we wish him best as he goes into a heroic mission, such bravery, serving our country. BKFC announcing July 3rd, Liberty Brawl in Philadelphia at the Xfinity Arena, getting into the 250th anniversary of America. Right where their home is, another big event from BKFC just being announced. Mentioned there were a couple split decisions on the card. Shelby Cannon, major upset. Rosalinda Rodriguez, even coming off of her last win at flyweight, was having to field questions about, could she drop down to strawweight? Was she intrigued by the possibility of taking on Britton Hart? It's been a while since we've seen Britton compete in BKFC, still holding the women's strawweight title. And tonight, an early knockdown from Shelby Cannon is the catalyst to what ends up being a split decision victory. The landed strike showed it. Cannon was ahead. Of course, the cleaner strikes were from the former world champion boxer. But for the first time as a pro, whether it's boxing or bare knuckle, Rosalinda Rodriguez is handed a loss. Shelby Cannon now an interesting name, along with Sarah Schnell, on who will be getting that next opportunity for Brent Hart in that BKFC women's strawweight title. No, pulling hair is not legal in BKFC. But if you also saw the Chris Garcia knockdown of Chancey Wilson, they'll tell you that hitting a grounded opponent isn't legal. And there were probably at least 2 shots that were landed after the right uppercut that the ref just let go. Cannon wins, but one judge tried cheating. One judge was confused. One judge was mistaken. At least we got 3 judges. Cannon, though, massive upset. Congratulations to her and putting her right in the thick of a title conversation that I'm sure no one expected for that to happen when this night started. Sabah Hamasi proves you got to know the rules of bare knuckle. A beautiful spinning back fist if this was MMA. Not a layered on bare knuckle, literally moves over the nose. We're talking about a nicer looking C even than I have. And Leonel Carrera fortunately gets the disqualification. It's been a fun night of fight so far from BKFC. Can't tell if the Florida crowd is as ruckus. I think other nights we've seen them a bit more electric and a bit more alive. Duran has made his claim now, that victory over Perez, and you could see the elation, or if you're not watching the show, you didn't see the elation, but BKFC president David Feldman jumping right on the apron. This worked out as about as great as they could hope for. Co-main event time coming up. Leonardo Perdomo versus Rashad Coulter. And it's a good hypothetical to ask. Is Perdomo a big enough star yet? I saw his promo earlier, and it feels like he is finally getting the art of communicating with that crowd, bouncing back and forth between his Spanish and a little bit of English that he has, and letting his natural charisma come out. A certifiable knockout artist, a vicious threat. And it feels like BKFC has just been waiting for his star to shine a little bit brighter, to just grow a little bit bigger before they feel he's worthy of an opportunity of challenging Andre Arlovsky, and before that, Ben Rothwell, for the heavyweight title. I truly believe that he has earned this opportunity. Truly believe that by now they should have given him the fight. The win over, and if not the first, the second win over Arnold Adams, a certified bare knuckle heavyweight champion, a true veteran of the sport, someone that's held the title before. That was the win. This is a really nice name to add to the resume and to keep cultivating it. Hopefully the frenzy comes, because El Monster, he deserves this opportunity. He should be fighting for the world heavyweight title. Mick Terrell last weekend with the BKFC UK heavyweight title win off of one stiff jab, taking away the sight from Jay McFarland. He requested that opportunity. And we know that BKFC has said they'd like to actually clear up the title picture, less titles, just have a heavyweight champion rather than having these multitude of regional champions and then trying to figure out who is the real deserving number one contender. But even with Terrell having that UK title, I want to hold him off if Perdomo gets a win here. Rashad Coulter, so experienced, a tough guy. I wonder if it's going to make a difference. The main event, I don't know if you guys were able to see the jubilation. I talked to Kai last week. This week, he's just been so excited, it seems like. I don't want to say that he's looking past Nico Gaffey, But I think there's just a excitement about where he is, about his career. If you saw that we talked about due to the canceled fights and fights that had fallen through, he thought a couple big opportunities were coming his way, that the disappointment, I think, had almost soured him a bit. And now to be back in the trunks, have the shoes on, and about to defend his title, I think there's a life again to Kai Stewart about the possibilities of how big this sport can become and how much they believe in him. Yes, I believe that Perdomo would flatline Andre Arlovsky at this point. I don't want to say glassjaw because dirty boxing, bare knuckle boxing in 2 fights, his Misfits boxing debut. Well, Andre was chinny at a point, and it's beyond science to say, no, your chin doesn't strengthen as you get older. He has been able to, whether it's roll with the punches, become more defensively aware, not eat them straight on. He has found a way to get through, like you said, what appeared to be a glass jaw and a major weakness for quite a while. Perdomo, though, does have otherworldly power, and if he lands clean on anybody, and I mean anybody in this heavyweight division, I truly believe that would lead to a knockout. Thank you, everybody. Truly appreciate you guys jumping on for the live stream. BKFC 87. In case you guys missed any of the action, just want to check out the results. We do have them up at cageminds.com. The quick 9-second finish from Brian Duran. BKFC, we're getting an extra bit of promotional reel here and additive to what they're going to be presenting us in the co-main event and the main event. Right now, running footage showing us of the evolution of Kai Stewart and really how we saw him boxing using his distance. And I truly believe a knockdown that should have been counted that wasn't, against Tommy Stardom in Dubai. First time we're seeing Kai Stewart since that fight. And Nico Gaffey, his power punching, his ability to wreck guys when he gets on the inside has been quite the revelation. Kai Stewart has been adamant that he thought Gaffey's offense was going to be able to overwhelm Brendan Allen. And I'll be honest, I was quite surprised that it did fully play out in that manner. I thought that at some point, with Gaffney just winging away, that Allen would find a shot to even the kind of knockdowns to do something to knock Gaffey off of him. But that was not to be. And so far, the Spaniard has just been absolutely tenacious at causing havoc on the inside. Leonardo Perdomo, they're now showing his highlights. We had his win over Willis. We had the Arnold Adams wins. He has beaten some really tough dudes so far. And it's not like BKFC has given him the cream of the crop, but it's not like they've just fed him guys that I didn't think could beat other people. Well, it feels like Perdomo is at an elite, otherworldly level. He's had some formidable opponents that he's just walked through. And I, again, just give him credit to that for looking like he could be that breakthrough star, that highlight reel making entity that would keep perpetuating bare knuckle, possibly to bigger levels. There's nothing like a home run in baseball, a touchdown in football, a knockout in combat sports. And Perdomo is that kind of guy that just produces them effortlessly. Somehow that was a little hard for me to say more than I meant to be. Excuse me on that one. Again, the tally of the tapes. Looks like we're getting to the co-main event here for BKFC 87 in Hollywood, Florida. The odds are reflectant of, I think, everything I'm already iterating out here. It feels like Perdomo is Bane and everyone else is just a regular character. But yeah, a minus 4,000 for a guy that's not a champion, and a UFC vet at plus 1,600. I don't know who's touching those betting lines. I don't know how that helps anybody. It's not helping a parlay. Bless you if you want to go for the upset. Did I say that backwards? My bad if I said that backwards. Minus 4,000 odds. Couple people watching, I guess. Is it time? Another victory here. Does Perdomo finally earn it? Should he get that next opportunity? Are we just talking? Mick Terrell, he asked for the favor. Dave Feldman feels compelled. BKFC has talked about a more concentrated focus on expansion of their English market. Taking a heavyweight title fight would be absolutely massive. We got someone risking $1. We have $1 so far on Coulter, it seems like. Or someone just suggesting that you guys should throw that dollar out on Coulter. And more than likely, going back to the last fight, Brian Duran, with the call out, healthy enough, he had already said he was going to be ringside. I got to imagine, going to make that happen real quick. Run back, throw some water on his face, show he's okay, and he'll be ringside here in just a minute. The home crowd, the Florida audience, couldn't work out better for him to be in a position to challenge the winner of the main event. You get the rematch, quite possibly right there, again in Seminole Hard Rock. And even if it's Gaffey, be an electric moment here after the main event. The aura of Perdomo as he walks in. You can see there are people in the stands on their feet. Considered a Cuban Mike Tyson. And here we go with the co-main event. The introductions are finally happening. We've had a couple split decisions tonight. We can obviously bet we don't have to worry about this one going long. Coulter, not just a UFC vet, has stepped inside of the Trigon before. Not going to be his first foray into bare knuckle boxing, so that is important. He does have some experience in this realm. Cage Minds live for BKFC 87. Every like, every share. If you haven't subscribed, if you do, it's all appreciated. Just dropping by and giving a view real quick. Thank you very much, guys. Coulter getting introduced right now, and the camera has turned to Perdomo. Moments away from this getting started. Been there live. Was at the first Trout Palomino event. Seminole Hard Rock can get live, can get ruckus, and it is really a tribute to the work and the footwork on the ground that BKFC has put in with building that market, cultivating the fan base, and getting it to a point where it's consistently a great crowd. Perdomo said 1 minute. Good takedown defense. Not sure why we're seeing takedown defense. A slight right hand. Coulter off the takedown. Face plants. We almost get a 10 count. Does not look ultra excited to be in here. First left hand that lands. Has a back pedal. Another takedown for survival. Blood already pouring. Big shots on the inside. There was a right hand on the top part of Coulter's left eye. I think we're officially going to call this one just over a minute. Left eye be destroyed already. I say title shot. I say, does he need to keep doing this when we know he can do this? Absolute destruction. Absolute minutes worth of entertainment. The most exciting, productively dominant show in bare knuckle. Perdomo is absolutely spectacular. And he's not just a headhunter, works the body. He knows his opponents are trying to get on the inside, so he's willing to work a frame. You want to get on the inside, I'll bully you back, grab the collar tie, and look to work the big punches. He has the full offensive arsenal of what you're looking for from the bare knuckle fighter. And if he lands a clear shot, it's bone breaking. Absolutely bone breaking stuff. Yeah, it looks like amateur doctor. A lot of damage around the left eye. We have a cut. We already have a hematoma, something else. Quite a few things. And Perdomo trying to bring in a hammer prop, maybe getting too close to his opponent, little too much of the theatrics. If you saw Gizem Salmani last week, you'd believe that a little bit more theatrics might be necessary or required. Andrei Arlovsky is getting in the ring. We're going to get the face off. We're going to get the face off. We're going to have the face off. Still undefeated. An absolute terror. One minute, 7 seconds officially. Absolute masterpiece of destruction. Another first round knockout. Absolutely spectacular performance. Excuse me there, everybody. Arlovsky with the belt, waiting across the ring. Perdomo has the mic. They've panned out to show both of them are there. Might be a little bit before the fight, though. Arlovsky, right hand in a brace. Not sure if that's the wrist, the hand, but there is already a protective covering on Arlovsky's hand, and these two aren't even getting that close yet, and there's an energy. Arlovsky just casually hanging out on the ropes and waving Perdomo in to do the face-off, and BKFC management looking kind of uncomfortable because they plan to do the face-off in the middle of the ring, and now there are many men surrounding this face-off, hoping nothing pops off. I don't think anything will, because Perdomo is ridiculously confident and cannot be foolish in this moment. And Arlovsky, his nose is already worse than some of the noses that have stopped fights tonight. I don't think he cares at all, either which way, about intimidation or cool factor. But this does have some intensity going to it right now. Doing the live stream now, but later I'm going to go back, listen to all this. So my fight show on Tuesday night when we go live, that's 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, definitely bring you guys all up to speed with everything in this back and forth when we're able to go back, listen to it. And at a point, this face-off is now reaching the level where the commission and the BKFC security are trying to wedge their way in between. Guys, we're good. We're good. But the Florida audience is responding. The knockout, the face-off. Arlovsky gets in the ring. That is more than Rothwell did. Rothwell wasn't even really willing to entertain giving Perdomo these opportunities to elevate his persona, to bring things up. Right now, there's a lot of hand talking, a lot of, this is obviously some trash talk, but they're cooler heads will prevail. Hitting a replay, sending us out. BKFC 87 co-main event already in the books in a minute and 7 seconds. A nasty uppercut. Pretty much reminiscent, but just the opposite hand. We're talking about that location, right? Getting it by the eye. Absolutely destruction. Same shot that Chris Garcia landed in the early prelims. This one, though, coming from a heavyweight, so infinitely much more devastation. Cage Minds Live for BKFC 87. Jumped on right before the Duran Perez fight. Duran most likely has wrapped himself up an opportunity at a featherweight title shot. And that's interesting on its own accord because the Rivera era, Nathan Rivera, has been putting in a lot of work, has been very theatrical with his promotion of himself, always coming up with new antics before each victory is announced, reading newspapers, handing letters. And it felt like he had done a lot of work to put himself in a position to also get a title shot. Not to mention, Kai Stewart had even said Edgar Palazzola had been in consideration for the title fight over Nico Gaffey, but is currently injured. Palazzola and Rivera feeling like they might have got leapfrogged tonight, though. The response from the BKFC crowd, the response from the BKFC management in attendance. Back-to-back big victories tonight. Makes a second in a row for Roberto Armas, who will now be getting deployed, most likely a year away from action. Bravery, representing our country. A lot of momentum right now, also as a bare knuckle fighter. Two big victories, knocking on the door at 135 pounds in a really deep division of the rankings. Be interesting to see when he comes back, what kind of form he'll have. Last time he went away on a deployment, came back an even better martial artist. Kai Stewart has become the villain. He is the Ric Flair of almost of the BKFC, where he's flamboyant to an annoyance to where a lot of the fan base tunes back in to see him lose. That's at least the way he looks at it as he's told it to me. He said he hoped, having been to Florida, having fought there in Hollywood, Florida, a couple times now, that when he comes out this time, he might actually be welcomed as a hero. All the well knowing if Duran is going to be the next opponent, all that love and adoration will become hate automatically. Duran's their guy. And Stewart did make an interesting point. He's fought talented, skilled, athletic guys who throw overhands before. He doesn't see much special in Nico Gaffey. I've seen some truly special things out of the first couple performances to my eye from what we've seen out of Nico Gaffey. But you cannot deny that it is fact when Kai Stewart acknowledges and points out, I have more title defenses than Nico Gaffey has fights in the promotion. It's all a lot of great rhetoric. It makes for a lot of great facts. Once they start throwing the leather, though, we'll see how the two styles mix. Gaffey's going to want to get on the inside, land his big overhands. Stewart, early in his career, pushed the pace, got the hooks on you, pushed you into the ropes, and just looked to break you, tire you out, demoralize you physically at that cardio base. In Dubai, we saw a much more refined, light on his feet, able to use his in and out technical boxing version of Kai Stewart. For this camp, having been a year away, Kai hit Albuquerque, New Mexico. I believe he hit Montreal, the TriStar Training Center. There were a couple spots around the country besides his home of Montana that he got out to get other looks, to soak in other philosophies, truly reinvigorated by the sense that the company is once again having a deeper investment in what he's doing. Cage Minds Live, BKFC 87. Main event introductions are underway. 12 hours from now, if you're in Albuquerque, ESPN Radio Albuquerque, 1017 The Team. It's Cage Minds Fight Hour. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be talking with Abraham the Hammer Perez ahead of Legacy Boxing Promotions. The Legacy Continues 3, April 4th. We'll have him on for a main event interview. We're going to have John Judy on, matchmaker of Fight World, ahead of Fight World 43 tomorrow night here in town at the Revel Entertainment Center. And Anthony Showtime Pettis ahead of APFC 22 here in Albuquerque on Sunday. And yes, I asked him about going to fight in Kazakhstan, the news that came out just last night. Main event is about to get underway. Kai Stewart, Nico Gaffey. If Gaffey wins, it's got to be by knockout. I truly believe in the experience that Kai Stewart has. What are you guys feeling in the chat? Who are you taking here? Is it an and still? Is it an and new? What are we feeling? Few fighters have been able to do what Nico Gaffey's done. There's been fighters that have walked into BKFC and garnered title shots very easily. We've seen it with Andrei Arlovsky. We saw it with Alessio Sakara. Nico Gaffey isn't an MMA vet with a legendary background, isn't the fighting pride of a nation who was the reason to go to that nation as Alessio Sakara. But he has been easily now one of the more successful European fighters that BKFC has brought to their roster. Not many guys have seen their UK or European title materialized into the world title and in such a short time. It's a nice mustache that Kai Stewart has. I just disagree with him. It's not kingly. It's more gunslingery. It's more old Western feeling to me. CageMinds.com has your BKFC 87 results. And also, if you missed earlier today's PFL from Madrid, Spain, and still Costello Van Steens, your PFL middleweight champion of the world, visit CageMinds.com. Whole bunch of results, weigh-in results, a busy weekend nationally and locally. Main event getting underway. A lot of dynamic moving right now. Gaffey, as expected, coming in heavy. A big overhand has landed. Could see Kai momentarily. He recognized the punch. He felt it land to his left eye, checking it. Another big overhand. These winging overhands from Gaffey making a difference. Stewart getting the overhooks. We have some rabbit punches in the clinch. I wonder if, and we have blood already from the left eye of Stewart. The natural height difference and the already squatting stance of Gaffey mixed with a more erect, just straight up and down stance from Stewart. The overhands have been finding the mark and finding the chin here early. The challenger looking very good in the first minute. Anticipating Stewart's entries and almost nullifying some of the pressure by ducking under, doing this tackle, and immediately having to get the referee injected into the action. Pretty smart work here early from the challenger. I'm not sure how many of these rabbit punches in the clinch are going to be considered effective, but there's going to possibly be kidney damage if this continues for Gaffey. Just rapid fire right hands in this clinch from Stewart. Big heavy shots though in the first from the challenger. It just feels like Stewart wanted to box, wanted to be prettier, wanted to use some of his outside game here early. And I think he's quickly realizing he's going to have to be effective on the inside. The cut being checked out by the BKFC ringside physicians. He's okay for now, but it is bare knuckle. It is something to keep in mind. Cut in the first round is something that you're going to have to protect. Both guys, a lot of bounce in their step still, a lot of energy. Again, Stewart starting off with a mix of trying to keep Gaffey outside while he also tries to explode in. So it's a really dynamic back and forth of what he's trying to do, where he's sticking out long shots. And then if he sees the opportunity, he's trying to blast his way in. Gaffey very content to allow Stewart to try these different tactics, anticipating the blitzes, coming in under and getting to this clinch. A lot of body shot stuff from Stewart. This time he almost gets a back take. When you get a back take, you're not allowed to punch around like this is MMA, admonished by the referee. More clinch work and body shots coming from Stewart. Easily will be ahead in the landed strikes category. And so far here in the second, Gaffey not finding the same opportunities to hit the chin with his overhands. Instead of accepting the clinch now, yeah, pushing Stewart off and trying to strike in the exit. Probably a much better idea from Gaffey rather than just getting stuck on the inside. Good adjustment in the last 20 seconds of the second round. Talking our way through this. Should be 1-1 right now. Kai Stewart, you're right. Not using his reach. You think that might be something he'd be trying to do more effectively, but I think he's all right with suffocating the power of Gaffey rather than tempting the opportunity of having a jab countered by an overhand. He's doing some stick and move right there. And it's not just his reach. It's trying to use what appears to be a foot speed advantage, cutting an angle, coming in. It's not quite Dominic Cruz, but you almost think of it of that V. Maybe we just call them wide receiver patterns is what Kai is doing. Because now I think we just had like a crossover, a juke. He's definitely found new interesting ways to implement the use of his footwork. Left backside of the ribs from Gaffey, still very bright red from these peppering body shots when they get trapped in the clinch. And it looks like now that he's getting a bit more warmed up in these positions, Stewart's also finding his head movement, finding where he believes Gaffey's going to be throwing from and exiting off, turning his head, not allowing these shots to land as clean as they did in the first minute of the first round. Shot at the bell from Gaffey, and they each give each other a one finger salute. Some good adjustments again at the end of that round from Gaffey. Saw him start to firing off some quick combinations when you saw Stewart getting on the inside, going away from anticipating the clinch or trying to tackle his way through the clinch. At least to me, I think it's 2-1 for the champion through 3. Rough first round, and he's bounced back in the last 2. Still, you got to know that the left eye is going to be a concern. G. Perez working on it. Gaffey, it's not like he looks winded, but he is breathing heavy. We know that Kai, it's a trademark of his to push a relentless pace. He's the first off the stool. He's in the middle of the ring, awaiting his opponent. It's almost an intimidation, like, where are you? Let's get back to this already. A big smile. Wearing it a bit on his left eye. Stewart just ragdolls Gaffey to the ground, not happy in the clinch, and just got a single collar tie and pulled him down. The BKFC flyweight title definitely needs to get sorted out. John Dodson is ready, willing, and able for any challenger. I kind of had an assumption that they would make the Strode Dodson unification bout, or even redo the interim title fight that they weren't happy with the result of between Cutman and Strode by now. But I'm not sure what the holdup is between who it feels like are the 3 most active parties in the division. You now get Juan Carlos Rivera tonight making a statement. You got Chris Garcia. Flyweight needs to get going. It's a good point there in the conversation. More rapid fire shots, couple overhands this time from Gaffey. Really a much more competitive 4th round. I feel like Gaffey realized the urgency, and he's now benefited from a couple adjustments. He's trying to hand trap, trying to get away from some of this clinch, and you can see a almost survival necessity from Gaffey to double underhook, to do anything he can to force the break. It's pretty wise. Stewart is doing his best work on the inside. So Gaffey doing everything he can to, hey, you need to let us out of this. We're locked up here. We are tied up. Could be 2-2 after that 4th round. There was a lot of punches landed, but that was probably the best Gaffey round since the 1st round. Probably the hardest round to call of the 4 rounds so far was that 4th round. We could be do or die here at 5. There is a doctor up on the apron. There is a little look-see into the Stewart corner. They're observing that eye. They're observing it right now. Gaffey not wearing too much damage. It's been a lot of body work. You can't visualize body work. The next morning, you can just urinate blood and not walk right for a week because you're hunched over. But you can't see it like a cut over the eye. Round 5, for anyone that didn't think that Nico Gaffey was going to be a legitimate challenger and a legitimate threat to the title, he's brought it and made it interesting and stayed right there on a technical level, on an adjustment level, and on a thoughtfulness level of how to deal with Kai Stewart's style. Gaffey looking for a big counter shot here. Stewart again trying to analyze, kind of sticking and moving here early. Back into the clinch. Bit of pushing and shoving. Couple body shots from each party. Nice right hand. Nice left hand. They're both going here. Stewart pushing a little harder. Gaffey backed against the ropes, takes off. Another stick and move from Stewart. Gaffey really looking for a big counter shot. He is sitting down here trying to look for the home run. A right hand over the top from Stewart. Through the first minute of this fifth round, with I feel like the title could be hanging in the balance. I think the champion feels that urgency. So far, he's been the more effective striker and the more aggressive party. Gaffey just not throwing and whiffing kind of when he does. Coming down the stretch here, the last 30 seconds. Good entry, left hand, some more peppering body shots. Another left hand. Gaffey finally answering back with the left hand. It's probably going to be close here. I think Stewart in that fifth round did enough to retain the title. Never know what the judges are going to say. Nico Gaffey, 5 hard rounds. I don't think we've seen rounds that hard for Kai Stewart yet. Only a little blemish under the eye of Gaffey. Stewart's wearing more damage. Gaffey did a fifth of the body work that Stewart did, and we're not able to measure that again tomorrow because that's when you're really going to be able to feel the accumulation of this beating, of being in a 5-round war. Gaffey showing off a left hand that looks like his middle finger absolutely busted. As far as significant strikes go, a slight lead to Gaffey. When we're talking about body strikes, more than 10 times the landed strikes from Stewart. Haven't seen the accumulative yet. But I got to imagine, oh yeah, accumulative, we're talking about 233 to 82 on the strike count right now, a 76% effectiveness. There's a great deal of significant strikes landed, 50 from Gaffey. An overwhelming, though, onslaught once again from Kai Stewart. Cage Minds Live, BKFC 87 main event. We're going to the cards. And still 49-46, 48-47, 49-46. So that's 4 rounds to 1 on 2 scorecards, 3 rounds to 2 on the other one. Kai Stewart, and still your BKFC featherweight champion, puts up a historic 6 title defense, runs his record to 9-0. Thought that 4th round was close. One judge, like I was wavering on, did give it to Gaffey. The other 2 saw Stewart take over after that first round. And it's going to be interesting to see. And we will here in the future, very soon, be having Kai Stewart on My Fight Show once again to talk about his future plans. There's Edgar Plazaola. There's Brian Duran. Plazaola, Duran. They're both in the ring now. Don't forget Nathan Rivera also lurking somewhere in the shadows, probably. Stewart just suggested, there's two guys in here calling me out. Why don't they go settle it? Edgar Plazaola, Brian Duran. Brian Duran leveraging for the crowd to make noise, going true pro wrestler. Who does the crowd want? I think a title eliminator sounds like a lot of fun, though. Stewart trying to get out of the ring, trying to mic drop and walk off. BKFC ain't trying to let him get away from this moment. You ain't allowed to leave. Plazaola wanted to respond. They're forcing Stewart to sit there. Brian Duran's arm is coming in. Edgar Plazaola trying to get in the face. He recognized that Brian Duran was stealing his moment. Duran is trying to grab the microphone. Dave Feldman couldn't be happier right now. This is a lot of fun. Kai Stewart, 6 title defense, 9-0 in the promotion. I don't know if we need a rematch. Do we need a rematch? This Fresh Challengers. I don't know if we need a rematch. I would say go to the rematch if we've already ran out of Fresh Challengers. That's just kind of my feeling on it. I'd like to see Plazaola do it. Plazaola. If you guys want to see Duran, I could understand the allure to that matchup. BKFC 87 in the books. Visit cageminds.com for the results. It's been a Cage Minds Live special tonight. We didn't fully indulge in the conversation. This is why I'm going to have Kai Stewart back on, because he did mention to me, maybe it's possible 135. Maybe it's possible to go after Justin Ibarola. If Austin Trout is not successful against Ben Bonner, that's also a fight that Kai Stewart said he would be interested in. We're going to get him back on the show soon and follow up with the champ and see what he desires, what path the king wants to choose. Does he want to raid another village? Does he look to expand his empire? Is he happy just upholding his people and the reign of the featherweight division? Nico Gaffey, hats off to him. Not far away from contention. Again, the closest that anyone has come in a fight to challenging, to keeping up with the pace and the output of Kai Stewart. So hats off to him. Undeniable. And I'm telling you it right now. Leonardo Perdomo should get the opportunity to fight Andre Arlovsky. We got the stare down. We got the face off. They brought Andre in. I think we're going to get that fight. I look forward to it. Shelby Cannon now adds her name into the mix with Sarah Shell as a possible challenger to Britain Hart. We need to see Britain Hart back in the BKFC and defending her title. Sabah Hamasi reminds us you can't throw spinning attacks in bare knuckle. Broke the nose of Lionel Carrera. That one was unfortunate. Jeremy Smith edges out Donald Sanchez one more time. He makes it 2-0 against Donald Sanchez, who did confirm he's retiring. A split decision, a close fight. Back half of the fight, the pressure goes to Smith. Roberto Armas, brilliant performance, getting on the inside, brutalizing AJ Rodriguez in the clinch. He's about to go off and serve our country. That's 2 in a row in BKFC, and best wishes to Roberto. Juan Carlos Rivera fought a guy that looked to be 2 weight classes heavier, and Samuel Samples gets up off the mat to come back and get a finish at the last second of the first round, explosively getting on the inside, a right hook doing the damage, a bunch of body work contributing to wearing down Samples. Chris Garcia, the right uppercut to the left orbital of Chancey Wilson, a second round knockout. BKFC next weekend. It's BKFC Fight Night for Mohegan Sun. And bare knuckle fans, don't forget the Trigon is over in Foxwoods. So if you're in that New England area, it's going to be a good weekend to get out and watch some bare knuckle next weekend. Tomorrow morning, Cage Minds Fight Hour. ESPN Radio, Albuquerque 1017, The Team, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. The show will be available. We'll be talking to Abraham the Hammer Perez, unbeaten 13-0 pugilist, Fight World matchmaker John Judy, and APFC owner Anthony Showtime Perez. We got a stacked show tomorrow morning. That one's just about 12 hours away. Join us tomorrow night, Revel Entertainment Center, Fight World 43. And then we'll be over at his Isla Resort and Casino on Sunday for APFC 22. Visit cageminds.com for the latest in combat sports news. And here on the YouTube, tomorrow we will have the exclusive Abraham Perez interview from the Cage Minds Fight Hour. Those other 2 interviews will be audio only, previewing the local fights. Everybody that's tuned in tonight, I truly appreciate it. Results are over on the website. Like, share, subscribe. Y'all have a great night.